Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of HR Tech Chat. And with us today, we have Marc Havercroft, who is Global Chief Customer Officer for SuccessFactors at SAP. Welcome, Marc.
Thanks, mate. It's great to be here.
Really looking forward to this conversation. The last conversation we had sort of ran away from us. It was so exciting. Honestly, we are the two of us. We're really kind of singing from the same songbook, and we just thought that it would make a lot of sense and would be helpful to bring this conversation into the public domain, just so some people could just hear some of these ideas. So let me just set the stage here. And then I really want you to kind of run with this for a little bit, Marc, because you have some really good ideas around this. And then I'll swoop in after. Let's set the stage. There's customer success, and to be successful as a customer of an HCM technology, it's really important to work with the vendor to focus on sort of the nuts and bolts of HR, HCM, and also some of the more strategic aspirational stuff. So the first category, we at 3Sixty Insights, we call it concrete HCM, the stuff that's easily quantifiable from a financial standpoint. The accountants understand it. It's what finance is paying attention to first and foremost. And then abstract is that other stuff, that aspirational stuff, the stuff that ultimately has to do with organizational success, employer culture, and all the rest, employee sentiment, really. And some of that, a lot of it actually is combined or overlaps a lot more than we might think at first blush. But with that said, what are some of your thoughts around this, Marc?
Yeah, look, you're right. I've got a lot of thoughts. I've kind of been in this space for a good 15, 20 years now. And I think, you guys call it concrete and abstract. I think lately we've called it, operational and experience. Because, I think the first point is, look, rightly or wrongly, I think those in the space, in HR and in the tech HR space would have been saying for the last 20 years, we've heard HR wants a seat at the table. Whenever we've gone to put in technology, etc., there's been a battle to get the business case up with finance, etc., to explain the return on investment and value. And for me, Ben, a lot of this is underpinned in the last 50 years with organizations, and the way we've structured organizations is that people are a necessary evil. And I'll explain what I mean by that. And everybody think about this when you're listening to me rabble on here, but think about all the processes and policies in place in your organization or where you've worked. And how many times have you heard phrases like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, but the system won't let you do that. Or that's not, you're unable to do that. The reason behind that is that ultimately organizations, and I'll call them the old personnel departments, were set up to protect the organization from workers, either purposely doing the wrong thing or, accidentally doing the wrong thing. But people were a necessary cost to business, a bit like when you looked at a finance P&L of a listed business, the cost of people would be in there with real estate and things like that. Okay, so you really have to have that context to understand the reason of the rant I'm about to go on, because what I think people have definitely realized in the pandemic, and I think that most people in the sector have known as well, is irrespective of your business, whether you're SAP, 110,000 people, whether you're a startup with 10 people and everything in between, right? And whether you're in manufacturing, whether you're in technology, whether you're in services, your business is your people, right? Your people are the reason your business lights go on in the morning. They interact with your customers. You have departments or people that are there to innovate and add to your product and services, etc. So, when you think about that, they are far from a risk to your business. They are your business, right? And again, you think of technology. Yes, every business is a digital business, uses technology, but startups start on what, a free license of something and Excel spreadsheets, right? the reason that they're able to be productive is as people, they come together, they've got a clear vision, they've got a clear culture, and they've got momentum, right? They've got a focus and they've got a passion. And that's what every business I deal with in our 7,000 plus customers want. They want the secret sauce to that, Mark. How do we make sure we get that extra engagement, that extra input, that productivity? Well, the first thing you need to do is recognize your people are your core asset, not a necessary evil. So number one, and I always talk to CEOs, CFOs, or CHRs, is move the people from the cost category to the asset category. That's the first thing you need to do in your mindset, right? Because if you start looking at that as your core asset, it changes the language and the perception. From a HR perspective as well, stop talking about kind of things from a HR perspective, talk in business. If this is a key asset, what are we doing to invest in it? To where's its peak performance? Where's its, where can we get better from it? Where are its weaknesses? All those types of things. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the first thing you need to do here, but is number one, we need to make sure as leaders, we recognize that people are our core asset. And that's not just HR's piece, that's the CEO, CFO, and also more importantly, in any organization of any size, that's the line manager. Because our entire experience at work is dictated by our direct manager, not necessarily, we might not all report into the CEO or whatever the case may be. Mm. So first thing, attitude, people are our asset. Let's put it in there. When our mind is at that point and leadership understands that, gone are the days of, the top 3 floors with the long carpets, etc. That's where all the bosses live and we all live below. That's all gone too. Mm. But again, that's, part of the context I'm talking about when they have that kind of hierarchical mindset. So if we take the first thing, we've realized people are an asset, right? And that's where HXM comes in as opposed to HCM, right? Because you then have to think of the experience of that asset. We all know as individuals, and again, anybody can translate this individually, whether you're a CEO or whether you're on the production line, whether you're a sales rep, whatever it is, when you're feeling good at work, your experience is good at work, you feel that work trusts you, they value your work, your performance is good, right? Mm. If it's not, if your experience at work is bad, unsurprisingly, your performance isn't good, your engagement isn't in place, and those type of things. So leadership needs to concentrate on people as an asset. And therefore, when you look at that, you look at what makes a person productive, right? Mm. That's being in a role that I understand what my job is. I know what my measure of success is. And also that the company is investing in me to be successful in this role. But also, I've got ambition to try other things. I might not know what that is, or I might want a linear job, I might, all those things, that's what we're looking for. And so as leaders, we now really start to think, okay, well, how do we make our people engaged and successful? You have to break that down to your own particular company. But that's when we really need to start to look at things like, okay, and we'll come back to the technology here, Ben, because this is where I always get customers. They'll say, okay, Mark, we're going to buy SuccessFactors, great bit of software, we're going to do that. Okay, we're going to take these processes from our on-premise stuff, put them on SuccessFactors, and now all our people are going to be engaged, right, Mark? They're going to be fantastic. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not, because, if you just replay what you've said to me, it's like you're going to take the same old processes, the personnel department processes, you're going to put them on SuccessFactors, HXM platform, and you're going to expect a different outcome. Well, as we've said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Yeah. What we really need to do, there's 3 components to really leverage the full value of SuccessFactors or any technology or any strategy that's really focused on enhancing your people as an asset and getting the most out of them. So the first thing is leadership. We need to recognize that we are there to get the best out of our people, not to protect the organization from them. And number 2 is, and I got this from my very first boss, who was fantastic. It is a privilege that you are in a leadership position because of those people, not because of yourself or not because of anything else. Leading people is an absolute privilege and an honor. And you need to understand that you're there to serve your people. They're not there to serve you. It's an easy thing for me to say, Ben, but we've all experienced the leaders that don't have that mindset, right? And we all know how much, and how much effort is involved in that and how much discretionary effort you put in for people like that. So that's the first piece. The second piece, a big one for me, is it's a fantastic opportunity now to relook at the processes of your workers to make them more successful, right? Whenever we've been in a job ourselves, we'll have got to that moment where we get the job, we're in it, and we go, okay, we've got a great idea to make the customer experience better, to sell more, to innovate better products. The answer you 9 times out of 10 get in the old world was, oh, that's a great idea, Mark, but the system won't let you do that. Or no, that's not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. Or you have to get approval for that. That's not our department. There's so many, oh, no, right? And again, all that does is just take this enthusiasm and engagement and just, poke holes in it, right? It just eventually, it's like it can be quick or it can be slow, a death of 1,000 cuts. But ultimately, you're like, I've joined this company. I want to make a big impact. I want to do my role, but it's actually the company that's stopping me achieving the internal systems and processes. And that is the reality of what we've been living with the last 50 years. So coming back to my point then about we've had leadership change, process, you have the opportunity now, if you're putting in a system like SuccessFactors, re-look at your processes and look at it from a design thinking perspective, from an employee perspective, right? I call it the edges of our business to our customers and say, look, the most important role in this company, I'm afraid it's not you, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, it's the people at the edge of your business that deal with your customers every day. And they're important for two big reasons. Number one, it's that interaction that makes your customer experience, right? And if your employee experience is good, I guarantee you your customer experience is not just good, it's great, right? I also guarantee you that employee, if you have working for them, they will listen to them. They will tell you where the opportunity is to improve your processes and therefore your customer experience and the measures of that, whether it's new sales, renewal, whatever that the case may be. So, a big part of it is looking at those processes, but looking at them from the individual worker's perspective or department's processes, and listening to those people and improving those processes, giving them ownership and accountability to improve things. Could be simple things about contracts and different things. We've all been there. I know everybody listening to this will have their own personal experience, but the point is you need to give them autonomy and you need to work backwards from that employee's role or that department's role and improve the processes. That's where these systems like SuccessFactors really then will change the engagement and the outcome of your people. And there's 2 key aspects of this. You said, we have the operational data. So that's what they're doing, when they did it, how they did it. But relying on things like we have with Qualtrics, with our software, but how was that experience? How was that for you, ordering a new laptop or getting those things? How was it for you booking holiday? How was it for you finding the right courses that you need to have the skills we need you to have in 6 months, right? And so you have operational data and experience data. The combination of those 2 help you as a business and as a leadership adapt your processes with the common outcome of a better experience for your customers. And you start with your employee experience. And again, remember, employees are customers too. People often forget that. So, start with employee experience. That will directly correlate to customer experience. But the software alone, taking old processes and a personnel mindset onto new technology, is the definition of insanity. Like any other vendor out there, will take your money, but you are leaving so much value on the table. It's heartbreaking, to be honest. But at least I'm starting to see companies who are really not leaving the value on the table and getting the due results.
Yeah, what a fantastic sort of just overview of the challenges today. And a few things. So first of all, that frontline worker, I mean, Harvard Business Review came out with the surface profit chain concept a long time ago. That's proven. If you look at that, I like this idea of operational and experience data, concrete and abstract. If taken as a whole, I like to call it the totality of HCM, right?
Yeah.
It's going to give you a much better understanding of your workforce, where you stand with your workforce. It's not just how much you're paying them, it's also all this other stuff, right? But if you infuse that into the view of the view of the organization. It's a much more holistic view of the organization. It's a much more accurate understanding of where the organization stands, of its health, right? If you're just looking, you could be, as an organization, you could have good profits right now, for instance, or good revenue coming in. And you could just stop right there and say, okay, we're doing all right now. Let's close up shop for the week and have a nice weekend, which you should do anyway, right?
Yeah.
Any of it, right? You might be missing something huge that could have a very deleterious impact on your business moving forward in maybe the midterm or maybe the short term. And so that's another reason why you need to watch this stuff. I love what you have to say about moving employees from the cost into the asset column, right?
Yeah.
That's super important, because once it's seen as an investment or something to invest in, right? That changes the calculus for accounting, right?
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this last time, this idea that, is there some way to actually make that an actual an outcome, right, for the organization? Is there a way to actually put people into the asset column from an accounting standpoint? Because that to me is huge. You take that along with it's ISO, the number I forget. I forget, it's ISO
9000 and something, right?
Yeah, right. But it's this idea that it was from the SEC. It was mandated that public companies be evaluated at least partially based on their human capital management practices and the health of their HCM, of their workforce. So this is happening, and it's happening slowly but surely.
And Ben, I just want a quick point on that, right? Is this isn't about welfare and what I tend to call, and what, let's be honest, what some leaders kind of go, oh, Mark, is this fluffy HR stuff? No, not at all, right? This, to move your people into the asset class, it takes a stroke of a pen. Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it can't be done. Another one of my pet hates, oh, we always do it this way. Well, it doesn't mean you have to do it that way for the rest of your life, right? Otherwise, we'd still be riding around on horses. So, it's really important to know that focusing on the employees as an asset, and then focusing this investment and this mindset about this isn't a fluffy HR thing. This produces genuine top line and bottom line growth, right? And it produces it, not only does it produce it in the short term, but what it does more importantly is it creates momentum in your business, which is what every business leader wants. As in, it's not me driving things forward. It's not a them and us. I don't have to check people who are in the office at 9 o'clock, because people are committed to the vision of what you're trying to do as an organization. They feel valued, they feel listened to, right? And they're passionate about winning, right? Every business you're in, everybody wants to do well. And so, it's just an important point, then, that, with these regulations that are coming through, I think sometimes, again, our mindset can fall back to the personnel department at times. Oh, this is just making sure we don't, we're not, unkind to people, or there's bad labor practices. Of course, that's important, right? Of course, that's important. But the point I really want to make here is, for the most of people listening to this, is this is about taking something that has been an asset that has been in the corner that you've treated badly, putting it in the middle, and then really caring for it. Your business will perform on all your metrics better than it's ever performed, right? And that's the big thing. This is why I say this is about talking about people as an asset and a business and a commercial discussion, because this genuinely, those points of engagement, that employee experience correlates to customer experience, and positive customer experience correlates to positive financial performance and other stakeholder measures, whatever your business might be, because this is the same in a not-for-profit as it would be for a bank or anything else, right? So I just want to make that point, because I think people get lost in the fact, oh yeah, that sounds lovely, but no. This is about business results. This is about business, and people are your business.
And what's interesting there is, you really hit on something. There's a correlation there's a proven correlation between customer experience, between employee experience and customer experience, level of employee engagement, their satisfaction with their job, and the customer experience. And that it's been proven that leads to repeat customers, repeat business and all of this. The issue has always been, okay, how does that act literally from sort of like a literal standpoint, how is that translated to a line item in the accounting ledger, right? And that has been sort of the fly in the ointment, right? But I think that the attitude has been that, well, that line item in the accounting ledger, that's the proof, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the proof. It doesn't
exactly.
This is a postulate. This is a
Exactly.
postulate. So that's the rationale to move employees into the asset column.
100%. And another point, I get this all the time. People are always trying to fit square pegs into round holes, right? What I mean is people are always saying, okay, yeah, Mark, okay, but we need to fit this back to our ledger. No, you need to change your ledger. Like, business is about evolution and change, right? You just, every good business out there, and I can give you a million examples, who are number one in their market, who are having a great week, great sales, etc. They're not sat on their laurels. They're already disrupting themselves. They're thinking about what next, what product next, what next to do, right? I mean, basic example for everybody, Google was not the first search engine, right? But it's the dominant player now. The point being is that if you are number one in your marketplace, you should be disrupting yourself, right? Not waiting until you get disrupted. If you're a disruptor, you should always be looking at the market leaders and thinking, okay, let's listen to the customers and what could be better. How would they come to us, right? And again, Google's an example. I mean, there's a million. eBay, look at eBay and the categories that have fallen off that and the different marketplaces that come off that. And you'll see this all the time in business. So, to your point, this is the way the world is right now. And the key to all of this, think of all the successful businesses that have just floated recently, or any business in your own industry that you're listening to this. They have come out through a group of people seeing an opportunity to improve a service or an opportunity based on the marketplace, the customers out there, right? And you said yourself then, right? Our own experience dictates this. You get a good experience in your life through service, might even be getting your local coffee or whatever it is. You go back there, you recommend it. It is the same buying. It's the same. We are the same in the way that we buy and we show brand loyalty, whether we're buying a coffee, a car, a house. I mean, humans are exactly the same as that. They want to feel valued. They want to feel that the company knows them and that there's a good long-term partnership there. That all starts with the interaction with people. So it's really about people really, and I'm kind of quite brutal with customers about this now, Ben, to be honest, because I kind of feel like I say to them, look, I'm not going to explain to you the world is round. The world is round. Okay. This is the way the world is. If you can't see all the proof points out there and changes like that, there's nothing I can do or my software can do. It's like, it's everywhere around us, and everybody listening to this will have their own examples and think, yeah, that's an example. That's an example. It's really important.
I honestly think, I love what you're saying here, because I honestly think that there will be, if we think into the future here, right? I think there will be a point where there are some businesses that will be run where employees are seen as a cost to be contained, right? And there will be some demand for some of those types of companies, it'd be like, going to a fast food restaurant where you want to walk through and you just talk to the kiosk and maybe there's robots, making the food or whatever. There will be a market for that, but that won't be all businesses. That will not be all businesses by any stretch of the imagination. That'll be a niche, in my opinion, right? And so you look at that, right? And then you think about, I think we'd be remiss to not to at least acknowledge it. I think we've gotten to this point, not through, malintent or, I don't think it's necessarily, do you know what I mean? And I think some people could infer that. I think it's just been, you have an entrepreneur, somebody has an idea, right? And they love their idea and they want to see it through to, to succeed, right?
Yeah.
And there's sort of a means to an end. And the
Yeah.
pitfall is to see the people as a means because you're so focused on the end, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
end can turn into not just the idea, like your innovation that you were so enamored with initially. It can become just, just the profits and revenue at some point, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the inflection point where you really need to understand that it's the people. And one other thing that you said that fits into this, I just squarely into this, is disruption. The leaders in their markets are disrupting themselves
Yeah.
constantly. Well, what is the how do you disrupt yourself most dynamically? How do you achieve the most internal disruption, which I'll equate with we'll say is synonymous with innovation, just for the sake of
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation. That's by embracing your people. So, it's not going to come, the next innovation is going to
No.
come from the small enclave of the C-suite or whatever, some of it will, but there's, you're, like you said, you're a servant leader. You're a privilege. It's a privilege to be in that position of leadership. And you need to, but just as much as you need to, from a sort of an ethical standpoint, unleash
It's
your
good business.
workforce to
Yeah.
be innovative, you will benefit as an organization from that.
Absolutely. I say this all the time to CEOs. This is, of course, right? There's the moral aspect of all this and things like that, which is, as you say, Ben, it's completely founded. My point being, though, is that it's not one or the other. What we're really just simply talking about is evolution, right? It's just evolution of business, evolution of mindsets. That's really what we're talking, and that's why I kind of frame it in, personnel department, right? Now, if I think what's, the latest title is, HR is what, employee experience department, and all sorts of different things, right? But this is just evolution. And all we, if we look back through history, we've always regarded the people at the pointy end of this as a little bit crazy, or that's crazy. But then, time proves that they were well right. I mean, let's take, here's one that's synonymous globally, right? Look, Elon Musk. I mean, everybody thought, this guy's crazy, right? Going to space, electric cars, all that kind of thing. Now, I don't track it there, but I'm pretty sure that Tesla is up there as, just like GM, Holden, or Chrysler now, right, as a car manufacturer. The point, and and on the same vein, I remember studying this at, Henry Ford. They thought he was completely crazy when he brought the motor car out. Like, literally, what are you talking about? So all I'm saying is we are on a point of inflection, like we are as a race, as a planet, where we are recognizing the value of people in our business. And the funny thing is, you made the point earlier, technology is becoming more and more AI, robotics, etc. And there will always be a place, but for me, they just enhance our human capabilities and remove that administrative process burden of jobs. How many times do you hear from somebody is that their job's X, but they get caught up 40% of their time on admin? Right? Yeah. You hear that in every role. And I just say, well, look, there's automation, there's AI, there's robot, but what I'm hiring you for is what you intrinsically have in here: your problem solving skills, your empathy, your ability to take a problem or take knowledge and come up with resolution, your ability to connect to the customers, to the employees that you employ. I'm asking you to be human, right? That's where I always, particularly, I do a lot of stuff with mining companies and things like that. And I remember having these conversations and saying that, when you look at mines nowadays, they are totally driven, automated trucks, automated, all sorts of things, right? They automate their whole plants, yet they have some very highly skilled people that run all those plants remotely, And again, when you look at mining and commodities, and I appreciate it's an area not everybody will know about, but it's extremely profitable, and it's got more profitable because they've enhanced the human factors of knowledge and innovation and that type of thing. And they've also invested in technology to remove that burden from the individual. Why am I paying a human to sort of drive a truck when we can do it remotely, right? It's more safer, it's more efficient, it will go 24 hours. But instead of saying, oh, that's great, we'll get rid of that person. No. Who's working on the software or the controlling area to pilot these trucks remotely? It's those drivers, it's those people that were in there. So, technology doesn't replace humans, it replaces redundant processes where we don't need to do that as humans, right? Our power is the gray cells in our head. No offense to any kind of physical bodybuilders or anything like that, but at the end of the day, we can build machines to do it a lot better, continuously, right? But we really need to enhance it. And so I think, as we talk at this, Ben, and this is recorded, I'm telling you, if we put this in one of those little time capsules, and in 20 years, people will be like, I can't even believe that they were debating whether employees are a key asset to a business or not. They will be like, I cannot believe it. Technology will become ubiquitous. It'll be in our clothes, it's in our fridges, it's in our houses. But it's us that invent that, and it's us that link, things like Internet of Things. That's human innovation that's linking those things. So again, and the answer to that innovation, to your point, it's not, and apologies, it's not the chief innovation officer, it's not the CIO, it's the people at the edges of your business doing whatever you do as a business all the time. They have all the answers and all the opportunities. You just have to start listening to them as an asset. So real simple what we're saying, but to your point, this is evolution. This isn't fitting square pegs to round holes. This is saying whatever you did before doesn't mean it's right going forward. In fact, I would suggest that you should look at anything that you say, oh, we've always done it this way, needs to be looked at and changed.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Well, and we are coming up on the end of time. Sorry for my coughing fit a moment ago. I was grabbing a cough suppressant stealthily beneath the camera.
You did it really well.
No, thank you.
Very, very, very well done. Almost James Bond-esque, I would say.
I never would have guessed it looking at myself there. But anyway, we are running out of time, but I want to just hit on one thing that was interesting to me. You think about huge projects through the course of history, right? Some of them, achieved with slave labor, like the
pyramids.
I was just about to say the pyramids and all sorts of other things, right? And great things, the vision of whoever, the vision of somebody, right?
Yeah.
But that's not where we should be going as a species moving forward. You could even make the argument somehow that maybe it's a good thing we had the pyramids, that's, we were just learning. We were learning as a species. That's where we were. That's what's our mindset. We didn't know any better. And that's okay, because it was several millennia ago. But that's not where we want to go back to. Even some, like the modern day analog for it, which would be, people as a cost as opposed to an asset.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I think, the fundamental piece, I think, and we got to leave people with is, if you're going to expect a different outcome but keep doing the same thing, that's the definition of insanity. So you need to just stop and check yourself and go, hang on a minute, right? Number one, do we believe people are a key asset in our business? That is part of your culture and your DNA as leaders and your business. I mean, seriously, if you've still got people that think it's them and us, and leaders tell people what to do, you've got to make sure people are in the office 9 to 5, otherwise they're not working, that kind of thing. There comes a point in a conversation where we meet people where you just have to go, I'm sorry, the world is round, it's not flat. You are so far off the, where you need to be is where you need to be. But, as they say, you can take a horse to water. There's many examples, right, and it's not just the Googles and the Teslas of the world, right? There's many examples of, dare I say it, I know that this probably is a bit trite, but SAP been around for 50 plus years, right? They invented ERP on-premise, etc. You would think, we ourselves are disrupting ourselves, moving with SuccessFactors, making the acquisitions, now moving to an intelligent enterprise, because we know the days of on-premise software are gone. The days of green screens are gone. The days of computer says no are gone, right? So you know, we are making that steps, as are other IBMs and, you know, all those things. My point being is, this is not about just the new entrepreneurial unicorns, right?
Yeah.
This is about evolution, right? And the thing is, with the new businesses, all that is people who are like us, then, who have gone, I see an opportunity where the society and business is going, and I'm going to make that software, or I'm going to make that product, or I'm going to deliver that service. And you know, the commerce catches up with things. So I think the point we're making here, Ben, is like, you can have this philosophical debate about people as an asset or not, or whatever, right? And that's your call. What we're saying is, it's quite clear from the data, historic and the experience data going forward, if you grasp this opportunity and you invest in your people and you work for them as leadership and you improve their experience, your business will be one of those businesses that's listed on the NASDAQ or the Fortune 500. Because if you look back, there's so many that were on it that are now obsolete. The Kodaks, the Nokias, right? And they've been replaced by the Teslas and the Googles. I can put a bet now to anybody listening to this, Google are going to be replaced by something or someone. Tesla will be replaced by something or someone, right? Because that's what happens, right? People pioneer, you know, there's evolution, people pioneer off the back of evolution, and then the rest of society catches up, and that service or that product becomes ubiquitous, right? That is, I'm not, it's not like I've got the, you know, an oracle in front of me or the crystal ball. History dictates the future. All we're in a process of history, right? We've had industrial age, now we've got a technological age. Whether you wish to grab hold of that and grab the opportunity, that again, you can take a horse to water, it's up to you. But if you're working for a company that still believes in personnel departments, and that, you know, you're a necessary evil, and that, you know, you're lucky to have a job and, you know, be in the office from 9 to 5, then I would suggest as individuals, you do what we all do in society, vote with your feet, because there is better places that will trust you, that will invest in you and will value you. And in turn, the organization will perform better, and your reward, short and long term, will be far better. And that's what we're seeing right now, right? We're starting to see a war for talent already in a pandemic, which nobody would have thought that's the case. And the reason they're moving is because when times were tough, they saw with their own eyes, and people listening to this saw with their own eyes where their value was in their current employer. And a lot of them were not very impressed by what they saw. Some were very impressed, but there was a lot that's not. And that's why we're seeing this war for talent right now.
That great resignation that's going to, it's going to be the demand side of, if you want to call the talent or the supply side. Which would they be? Supply or demand? The talent, right? They're the currency of the workforce is going to dictate where this is going.
Absolutely.
Great points, Marc. Just fantastic, wonderful conversation. This is exactly what HR Tech Chat is all about. So thank you so much.
Right. Oh, look, my pleasure. It's always good to, because, you know, I'm in Australia. It's early my morning. It's always good to have these conversations in the morning. It steals me for the day ahead, because I'll be having these I have these conversations every day. And, you know, it's, you know, as you said, what we're talking about now is what I hope everybody listening to this can grasp in their own role in their own organization, whether it helps them make a decision about their career and their current job, or it helps them to explain to their leadership, or they are leaders, that they need to really pivot now to grasp the opportunity, or they potentially face the worst outcome. So always a pleasure. I'm glad we do it. I'm glad you didn't die of your coughing fit, and hopefully we do it again down the track.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marc. Have a great day over there down under.
I will. Take care, mate.